I know that being in a victim mode doesn't solve or change anything. It doesn't do anyone any good. So I always look for the lesson, like what am I supposed to be learning from this, and how can I use this to serve more, to be a better person, to help others.
Hey friends, welcome to the BK Strength Show, the show dedicated to helping you build your mental muscles, physical muscles, emotional muscles, and help you reach your fullest potential. We've got someone really special today, a dear friend of mine. She's a fitness celebrity, fitness icon, and author of Aging in Reverse, Natalie Jill. Welcome to the show, kiddo.
Thank you. That was quite an introduction.
Well, first off, good to have you in BK Strength.
Thank you.
And afterwards, we're going to catch a little workout together.
Yes. I'm going to challenge you to some handstands.
Perfect. And I'm going to challenge you to a pants off, but I see your pants are already nicer than mine. So if you're listening to this and not watching it on YouTube, Natalie has these fantastic leggings on that are part workout leggings, part leather, pleated, awesome. Like you look like you would be able to run very fast in that.
I probably could.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Now you're such a sweet person, and before having met you, I knew of you, but I met your husband Brooks, who's just off camera over there. I'm curious, how did you and Brooks meet?
Oh my gosh, we met, believe it or not, from Drew Keuilian.
Drew Keuilian. Holy
Yeah.
cow, there's a friend of our show.
Kind of by accident. I had this idea to make a YouTube video. I didn't know anything about social media or YouTube, and I enrolled one of my friends in doing a YouTube video about abs. So it was like my very first video ever, and believe it or not, Drew found me on YouTube, and he said, me and my friend are making fitness videos. You and your friend are. We should meet. And literally, that's how I met my husband.
And Brooks was the friend that he was talking about.
Brooks was the friend that he brought.
Oh, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Now, friends, if you guys know the name Drew Keuilian, it's because he's the founder of Organifi, one of the best greens supplement out there. And now actually he's got a full line of supplements. Now, you've got a very interesting story, and this is why I want to dive deep into it, because your story takes us down many paths, like mental toughness, emotional toughness, physical toughness, most recently with the surgery you went through, which we'll talk about later. But as someone who's been a fitness model for many years, most fitness models start off before marriage, before baby.
Right.
You went way backwards.
Yeah, I did everything backwards.
Baby.
Yeah.
And then you become a fitness model. How does this happen?
So it actually happened by accident. So I was in corporate America. I was doing the life that I was supposed to have. It's like college, school, then you go get the job in corporate America, you get married, you have the baby. I was doing all the things I was supposed to do. But I always say it was a very fake life because I was doing what I thought I was supposed to do, but it wasn't really who I was. And what happened is, I don't know if you remember what was going on in 2007, 2008.
No, I remember very well. Yeah.
So everything was falling apart in the economy. And not only was I being affected with that, as many people were, but I also had a lot going on in my personal life. I was getting a divorce. I gained a lot of weight when I was pregnant. And when I say a lot of weight, I'm only 5'2", and I gained 60 pounds, and my daughter weighed barely 6. So like the placenta didn't weigh 54. That was me. That was me eating a lot. Wow. So I was going through a divorce, overweight, completely broke. I was backwards on my house. And I remember actually going to fill gas in my car and having my credit card decline for the first time in my life, and calling and them telling me on the phone, you're declined because you're $1.4 million in debt. Oh. Yeah. So I had like everything possible wrong going on in my life.
And this is while you're pregnant.
This is while I was pregnant. I just had my daughter. I knew I was getting a divorce. So I felt like I had the world falling apart on me, and more stress, more depression. And the only reason I was getting through the day is because I had a daughter. That was the only reason.
Literally your world was falling apart as our world as a country in the United States was falling apart. We're the biggest economic crash of all time.
Totally.
Holy smokes. And so you go through the divorce. You obviously, as you said, and I was going to ask you, looking back, would you say you were in a depression?
Oh, I was totally in a depression, and I was.
Was that from pregnancy or just from like?
I think it was a combination of everything. Like, yes, you've had the hormones from pregnancy, but it was me being in this victim mode of like everything's wrong with me because of these other things, like because of the economy, because of my ex-husband, because of my job, just because of everything. I blamed everything but myself, and I remember just feeling complete victim and depressed and stuck. And the turning point for me was catching a glimpse of myself while I was walking my daughter and my dogs. I saw one of those windows that has the mirror reflection. And I just remember looking, going, who is what I'm looking back at? That's not me. I have more to me inside. And I don't know what is going on right there, but that's not me. And that was a moment that was really defining for me because it got me thinking about what is it that I want? Not what am I stuck in now, but what do I actually want? And that was that first turning point.
And what did you tell yourself that you wanted?
Yeah.
Were you very clear on what that vision was, or did you have to do some soul searching,
Yeah.
journaling?
I went home, I turned on Oprah and Oprah knows all, but she was talking about The Secret and vision boards.
Gotcha.
And I thought, a vision board. Maybe I should do that. So I went, and this is when everyone still had lots of magazines. I had tons of magazines. I went and grabbed a bunch. I started pulling out what would be appealing to me, and I made a vision board. I remember that very clearly, sitting there making a vision board, and I put really fit girls and fitness models and happiness and families and ocean. I just put all this stuff on there. And I remember staring at that vision board and thinking, wow, I don't feel these things, but if I keep looking at this and I can evoke what it would be like to be living in that vision board, something has to change for me. So that was my first experience with vision and really daydreaming and fantasizing about what I actually wanted. And that was really step one.
And then soon you began to manifest that
Yeah.
outcome where now you live in San Diego
Yep.
and you obviously have the life that you've literally
Yeah.
fabricated on that vision board
Yeah,
that you
and
cut out from magazines.
Yeah, and so our heads want to go to how, and I didn't know how, but I would look at that board and I would look at the fit girl and I'd say, okay, if I was the girl living in this vision board, what would I eat? What would I do? What would I listen to? How would I spend my time? I used to ask myself those questions. Or if I had that ocean view, what would I be doing? And I would remember drive to the beach and say, okay, I'm going to walk on the beach because if I was living there, I would do that. Sure. I would just start putting myself in those moments. But what really was crazy and what opened up for me is I started feeling this sense of hope and possibility. And I started watching my body change. And I started making different choices and diving into nutrition and workouts. And I remember turning to Facebook, which at the time, my gosh, I have like 2.5 million social media followers now, but at the time I had like 100 high school friends that, everyone did then. It was like 100 people. And I remember posting on Facebook, okay, I'm in this situation, but I'm changing it and I'm going to start sharing what I'm eating here for accountability. Like I had no business agenda. I just wanted to share for accountability. And I started sharing and people loved it because it was real. It was authentic. I had no agenda. And I was that original, like, what I'm eating poster. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
And it was incredible because so many people were interested in it. And it started attracting a lot of attention and more growth. And then my body started changing and I started creating bigger goals. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go for being a fitness model. Like it was so random. I was in my late 30s.
Good for you. Well, it's called, I call it stacking little wins. And in our Fit Body Bootcamp franchise, we just had our big New Year, New You challenge for the new year. We had 8,500 participants in this challenge for this. It's an 8-week challenge. And every Sunday I was just pointing mindset stuff.
Yeah.
So my wife was posting all recipes and healthy food stuff. And every Sunday I was posting mindset stuff. I said, guys, don't worry about like the next 7 weeks. Just worry about this week. And for this week, just worry about Monday. Did I eat right for breakfast?
Yeah.
Did I make it to lunch? Did I eat right? Did I get my workout in? Did I have my snack and my dinner? Great. Check off Monday. Let's go to Tuesday. Stack the little wins.
So good.
Weeks add up to months. Months add up to years. And it was amazing to see our finalists, lost 62 pounds in 8 weeks.
Wow.
And she won $100,000. But so often when we get a little win, it gives us the permission or the confidence to get a bigger win.
Yes.
And so as you got that little win, you're like, maybe I can be a fitness model.
And what's funny is I had no idea that, like, by the way, fitness models make like no money. Like you basically like pay to be on a cover. Like I didn't know this. I'm like, people think like you're a celebrity or a fitness model. Like you pay to like get on a cover, basically. That's the way that it works. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not as glamorous as it sounds, but and I didn't pay to get on any covers, but that's like the running joke in fitness now because it doesn't pay. But what's crazy, and I want everyone to hear this, is I had friends that laughed at me when I said I was going to be a fitness model. They're like, they want 20-year-olds, not a 39-year-old fitness model. Or I've been on 11 covers in my 40s, one being last year at 46. So like that
How does that feel?
I mean, it feels normal to me actually, but it feels like,
But that's not, right? Like
Well,
when
I
you look
know
at
that-
who was on the covers.
I know that people believe it's not supposed to be normal, and that's the problem. That's that limiting belief. That's that we create this story around what can't be done until it's done. I mean, look at the 4-minute mile. People are saying nobody can do that. It's
Right.
impossible until someone does it.
Roger
And then-
Bannister. Yep.
Yep, and then others follow. So, it was like that was just one example of busting through something. Like we can do whatever we want to do.
Now, in the beginning of our episode here, you said, you had this victim mindset that
Yeah.
things were happening to you. It was, gosh, the ex-husband, the economy, the work stress. You were trying to fit into a life that you're not quite
Yeah.
sure was meant for you. How do you go from this victim mindset to becoming the hero in your own story? Because you were
Yeah.
truly the hero in your story.
Totally. So in order to create change, you have to be accountable. You can't be in victim mindset. Like the more you stay in victim mindset, the more you're going to keep attracting more of that. So in order to create any change, you have to find accountability in that. And what was interesting is what was working for me in my rock bottom was that I did know that deep down because I had been really successful in corporate. I had been an empowering person. I had been somebody who spoke into not having excuses. I knew that deep down. I just fell into my own stuff as we do. And so I knew it and I pulled it back out. And I've had times since that I go into victim mindset. We all do. But it's knowing that we're not going to solve anything from that place. And my gosh, my slogan even today is excuses or solutions, you decide. And some people get offended by that. But what I always say is the second I validate your excuse and go, oh, you're right, that sucks. You're right, that sucks. That makes you feel good in a moment, but it does nothing to change you.
Nothing. What a great way to look at that. Now, I'm curious. You said from time to time, you still fall into the victim mindset.
Yeah.
Guess what? We're human.
Yeah.
I'm human. People listening and watching to this, they do. I have a little process that I use, but I'm curious, do you have a process or a way to get out of that negative or victim mindset in a quickness?
Yeah, I'm dying to know what your process is too, because for me, what I've done is I've set up things to keep me out of that. What I mean is everyone in my life is a solution-oriented person. I don't keep victim mindset people in my life. So when I fall into my stuff, I got a whole support system of people that are not going to let me stay there. Like my husband, my friends, anyone. They know this, people that work with me. So I'm really clear to surround myself with people that have leveled up their life and that hold accountable. So they can say, you're right, that sucks for a moment, but they're not going to stay there with me. Right. And so that's my main thing. I also think it's okay to have a pity party for a few moments. It doesn't have to last forever, but you can have a day or a couple days with a pity party, but then you have to move on out of it.
So I love what you're saying there, and this is very true, and I talk about this in my book, Man Up, where you've got to surround yourself with fighter jets.
Yeah.
Because if you surround yourself with crop dusters, they're going to effectively fan the flames of excuses.
Yes.
And feeling like a victim, and it's okay to stay in the pity party and blame others, etc. I love that. Effectively, you're saying, hey, look, it's like going bowling. If I set the bumpers down, then the ball's not going to go in the gutter.
Yeah.
And the bumpers are probably the routine that you have every day, the people that you associate with and surround yourself with, and they help lift you up and keep you on track. So what works for me, in addition to that, is, and I discovered this when I was writing my book.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you about writing your book because people are like, hey, Bedros, when's your next book? I'm like, how about never? Because I never want to write another book again. But in the process of writing my book, first off, English is a second language for me. Secondly, I got fat fingers. I'm not the best typer. And so attempting to type my book out was a mess. And it was very humbling because I'm used to writing email broadcasts where I can hit send and make tons of money, and blog posts that get optimized on the search engines, et cetera. And it was so humbling when my editor sent back my manuscript and said, you've just written this in like email chunks and blog post chunks. And I realized, because that's all I know how to do is write 1,500 word chunks. And I was so demoralized. I reached out to Lewis House and I said, Lewis, I've got 16 pages of notes from my publisher. Can I just send him back the advance and say, I'm done with this? I don't want to do it. And he says, no, man, you can't.
And they send it to you on a Word doc, probably. Not a Google doc. Yeah.
Exactly, right? And so that was a very humbling moment for me. But in that moment, after hanging up with Lewis, I started to kind of go down this rabbit hole of like, you know what? Maybe I bit off more than I can chew. Maybe because I'm a foreigner to this country, I'm not meant to write a book. English is a second language, et cetera. I was like, what would I tell a client? Go change your state. So I immediately got up, closed my laptop, went to the garage, and I did 200 kettlebell swings and 100 burpees. And instantly my state was so
good.
I used to tell clients, look, go do what you're really good at. And so there I found myself in a moment where I'm sitting in front of a laptop with 16 pages of notes of how awful I did. Yeah. What if I go do what I'm good at, which is throw around a kettlebell and do burpees?
That's great.
Right? And instantly
Yeah.
my state changed. I got a burst of confidence, and I went back and I just one chunk at a time went through that. And I hired.
Yeah, they say you're better than me. I just have to
I hired
a
ghostwriter. What was his name? Oh, holy cow! I want to give this guy credit. He's amazing at what he does. Ryan. Anyway, I'll think of his name. But funny story there. I reached out to him and I was like, "Hey, man, I know that you have a waiting list of clients to write for, but I've got 2 weeks to finish this manuscript in 16 pages. Like, what's it going to take?" And he said $30,000, and I'll put you up front.
Yeah.
And that was the easiest $30,000 check
Yeah.
I wrote because I was in so much pain.
Yeah.
So part of it is, one, go do what you're good at. Number
Yes.
two, if you've got money to solve a problem, sometimes it just takes money to solve a problem. Like either hiring a trainer, a therapist, a coach
Totally.
to buy you speed, right?
Yes, but if you don't have money, it's still sometimes worth finding the money because you can go earn money at the time that it would have taken to stress you out doing something like that too.
Well said. What was the process of writing your book like?
Yeah, so process of writing my book, because I can relate to that exact personality. And if you send me a Word doc, I feel like I'm in school again in trouble.
Yeah.
It's like, oh boy, here I am again in trouble in school. So for me, everything that I have to do, I have to have somebody help me. It's all my words, but I voice record it or write it in chunks and have somebody help put it together.
Gotcha.
And I'll own that any day, any night.
Good for you.
Same strength as you with that. That's not my gift.
If I were to write another book again, and that's the direction I would
Yes.
go, it just made sense to
Yes.
have someone else do it
You can.
for you.
It's cool actually. Like I worked with somebody very closely. We would just have phone interviews, and I would speak it out, and she'd put it together. It's great.
Done and done.
Yeah.
Done and done. So you've had a book out before this.
Yes.
What was the book, and what was the message behind it?
So my first book was called 7-Day Jumpstart, Unprocess Your Diet. And it was based on my initial rock bottom story and how I got myself back. I speak about vision boards. I talk about how I would shift my mindset there and then how to unprocess and eat a natural food diet to shed weight. So that book helped hundreds of thousands of people, which has been amazing. And it's still my staple product, and things are built off of that on how to eat healthy in general. But as I aged and changed, some things were happening. Like number one, people are always shocked by my age. And to me, that's flattering, but I was more like, why are they so shocked by my age? I'm 47. And I would think, why does everybody think that that's unusual to look healthy and fit at 47? Like, this is to me what it's supposed to look like. So that was coming up a lot. And I thought I really need to speak into this because so many women think they're too old and it's too late because they're a certain age. And they all validate it with each other. Like,
Sure.
Getting old sucks. Yes, it does. That's like this conversation that goes around. Yeah. So I felt really called to speak out on that because you're not too old and it's not too late. And then the second thing that really pushed me over for it was I got injured about 1.5 years ago. I had a massive, massive ruptured disc in my lower back between L5 and S1. So I literally have no disc there right now. But when it ruptured out, it wrapped around my spinal cord and cut off my whole sciatic nerve path. So I lost use of my right leg. And it was the scariest thing I think I've ever been through health-wise. And all kinds of things were coming up for me, like maybe I am too old. Maybe it is too late. Maybe I shouldn't.
Those voices begin to sneak in, don't they?
They do. And then what happens when voices sneak in, we go to Google and we start validating them.
Right.
Like old back disc rupture. You find like other people going, yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
It's doomsday. So I went down this rabbit hole of, gosh, maybe my career is over. Maybe I'm a fake. Maybe I'm a fraud. Like, what do I know about fitness and health if this is happening to me? Like I went down this whole path, and I once again had to snap myself out of it with mindset and say, wait a minute, that's not what I want. There is evidence of people that have been fine after this. There are people that work out after this happened. I can be that example. So that was step one. And then two, I really had to dial in this whole thing behind aging and nutrition and your metabolism and injuries, because there's so much out there saying you get older, you get injured, your metabolism sucks. And I'm like, I'm not buying it. So
good for you.
I wanted to dive into it and figure that out. And that's what I feel I've done.
Hey, where did this mindset develop in you? Like, were you born with this mindset of, hey, I'm not buying what the majority of the mainstream market is buying, or did you develop this?
It's developed over time, but I'll go back to being a kid and my dad. One thing that my dad really did well with me is he always told me it's no one else's fault. Like he really drilled that into me about being accountable. And he also really acknowledged me when I was accountable. So I really learned early that that's important, and victim mindset doesn't work. So even though it's a natural human tendency to fall to victim mindset, I learned early that that doesn't work. So I'll give my dad credit initially for that. And then every time I've been challenged in my life and go down that rabbit hole, I get stronger at the accountability piece.
No kidding. So you what I'm hearing you say, it's almost like the challenges become the weights against your, I guess, mental muscles.
Yeah.
Right?
So
because you get stronger
yes.
each time you
every
encounter
time, whether
one.
it's a physical thing or like even my business. Like I never set out to own my own business. I'm an entrepreneur in a way where I don't want to work for people, but I'm not a great like running and structuring a business.
Sure.
That's not my gift. And so that sort of happened by accident in my life. And because of that, I've had lots of ups and downs. I've had years where I'm highly successful and years where my success in my head doesn't match the finances. I've had that happen. And, I also went down victim mindset with that it's the person I hired or it's this marketing person or whatever. And until I took a step back and had to look at and own that this is me. This is me and my decisions and my mistakes and what I'm doing. Things didn't change until I realized that.
What an advantage, though. I'm telling you. Today on Facebook, I put up a post that I wrote, imagine this. And I said, imagine if you didn't see yourself a victim anymore, but you saw yourself as a hero. Imagine if you didn't see that people were the problem, but you were the problem solver. And went on this whole diatribe about this. And typically when I put up a post that's inspirational, motivational, I'll get 200, 300 likes on Facebook on my personal profile. I'm not even talking about my fan page or anything. On my personal profile, just to friends who follow. I got and this was a social experiment. I got 15 likes.
Okay.
And this is what this told me. It told me that people read it, because obviously they did, but they didn't agree with it because they choose to be the victim.
Yes.
They choose to stay in dissatisfaction.
And they want to be validated.
They want to be validated. They want someone to pat them on the back for having problems and saying, oh, look at you going through it.
True.
It's almost like this act of valor to suffer or to put yourself in suffering versus actually to problem solve out of it.
I ask this question so many times to people in my programs. They'll come at me with their whole story, and I'll ask them, "Do you want to be right? Do you want to be right?" And I also ask them, "Is that working for you?" So you ask those two questions, and people have to reflect on that. Now, if somebody wants to stay stuck in their story, that's awesome. It's just there's no possibility for change when you're stuck there, and I want people to remind me of that because I go down it too.
Yeah.
And I don't want, like, when I go and complain to my husband, and my poor husband hears it a lot from me, but when I go to complain to him about something sucking, if he goes, "You're right, that sucks," that doesn't help either.
Ain't that the truth? So going back to this, you are the queen of doing things backwards, and I love that about you because I just love contrarian people, like the bumblebee is not supposed to fly. I think geometrically speaking, it's just the wings are too small for its body, but somehow the bumblebee flies. And this foreigner right here sitting across from you, myself, I'm not supposed to be successful. I'm not supposed to own 7 businesses and be on the Inc. 500 and 5,000 list, et cetera. And I love defying the odds. Well, you get married, get pregnant, have a baby, and decide, hey, I'm going to be a fitness model. And then you do. And then at 47, just what was it, 12, 18 months ago, you rupture a disc. And you come back, because I saw you right before that, you came to the headquarters. I dare say you're in better shape now than you were then. And you were in great shape then. What about you just doesn't, you just don't, you take a licking and you don't stay down. Like you're 47, most people would have been, gosh, my leg went numb, my leg went limp, my back that's ruptured. This is it. It's all downhill.
Yeah.
Like, what about you bounces back? How do we build that in other people?
So I believe it's a bigger calling or a bigger fire within me that I'm here to teach and lead and empower people. That is a gift I have. Now, whether I'm doing that through fitness or nutrition or mindset or whatever that is, that's what I'm here to do. And I have a bigger calling and a bigger driving core motivator to be an example for that. I can't help other people if I'm stuck in my own story and my own things. I learned and I know that being in a victim mode doesn't solve or change anything. It doesn't do anyone any good. So I always look for the lesson, like what am I supposed to be learning from this and how can I use this to serve more, to be a better person, to help others. I'll give you one example. When my business was really suffering for a while, I couldn't figure out, I was in victim mode, and I couldn't figure out how was I going to create and be happy and motivated when I was feeling so down and feeling like a failure. I was going through this business conversation. So what I did is I started turning to podcasts, like, could I find some motivational podcasts about how people turn things around from a depression or from feeling down? And I would listen, and I didn't love what the interviewers were asking. So I was like, they're talking over them. They're not asking what I want to know. So I started my own podcast. I'm like, I'm just going to start my own just so I could have my own advice from people.
Yeah.
And, 75 episodes later, I'm in the top 50 of personal development because I wanted to learn and I just took action, and taking that action helped shift me out of my victim mindset.
Ain't that something? Action alleviates anxiety. And most people in a victim mindset are suffering in anxiety and overwhelm and feel hopelessness.
And we just call people and enroll them in our victim story so we can stay
Enroll
stuck
them.
there.
Look at the words. See, words have meaning, and meaning is so powerful. We enroll people into our victim story.
Yeah.
And soon they become advocates for us and only solidify that message in our head.
Yeah.
You are a victim. Things did go wrong. You did get wronged.
But Bedros, and you were one of the people I interviewed on my podcast, but after I did so many interviews of hearing how people shifted from rock bottom to success, I kept hearing the same theme over and over again. I'm like, this is the stuff I know. It was literally the same theme over and over again. They decided, they declared it, they had a vision, they took action, they changed their thoughts, they took different actions, and bam. It's like, there's no secret. Everyone did that same thing.
That's formulaic. Let me ask you a question. Would you say you're hard on yourself?
Yes. I think I'm hard on myself. Yeah. I push myself.
Well, there's push yourself, but would you say you're hard on yourself?
I put them in the same category. I don't know. Maybe they're different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have higher expectations for yourself than you do of others?
Yes, I definitely do.
You do?
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Oh, gosh, that's a good question. Where did that come from? I don't know. I probably being a kid, and I was a terrible student. I know you can relate to that story. We've talked about that before. But I was a terrible student, and I had to learn quickly to add value in another way because I wasn't getting that, you're smart, you're this. It was like, okay, how else can I add value? So I was always trying to find a way to add value and be someone or something of significance. Interesting.
Now, you work with a segment of the population that aren't necessarily Instagrammable. And I'm going to say it that way because with the whole Instagram world that we live in now, it's all the sexy models, et cetera, which always cracks me up, yet I do scroll through them all the time. Hey, look, she's smoking hot in a bikini, but she's got such a motivating and inspirational caption. Let me read it. Now, the market that you work with, or the segment of the population you work with, women who are kind of in their 40s, 50s, that's not them. How did you decide that you're going to work with them? How are they attracted to you? How do you find them? Do they find you?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So first and foremost, what so many fitness people do wrong on social media is they sit there and they put a picture of themselves in their thong on stage and their spray tan, and then they want to know why they're getting hate and not attracting the right person. Well, hello. The reason is because if you are feeling bad about yourself and you're scrolling Instagram and you see you like that, I don't like you either. So that doesn't, that doesn't help or motivate people. So you have to meet people where they are. So to me, meeting people where they are is being really real and sharing what you're going through or what you're working on overcoming or what you've just overcome, and being very direct and clear on who you're talking to. So letting go of the idea of I have to please everybody or sell to everybody or make everybody happy. I had to have that conversation with myself. Like, yes, can I help men? Yes. Can I help general fat loss? Yes. I can help a lot of things. However, I'm 47 years old. I really can go deeper with women in their 40s and 50s because I know what they're going through. So I talk specifically to them. Now, if a 30-year-old or 70-year-old wants to buy my stuff, amazing. They totally can. But I'm going to talk to the women in their 40s and 50s because I get them.
Good for you. And it's one of those things where many people want to make money using Instagram, social media, et cetera, and they go about doing exactly what you said. They put a picture of themselves in a thong, all lubed up with coconut oil. Even Jinder does that. Shout out to my man Jinder here. But truthfully, you're speaking to their problems, and you understand their frustrations. You know what their desires are, and this is why they feel safe in giving you their money in exchange for the results and the value that you deliver. And there's something very authentic in the way you post. I haven't taken the time, truthfully, to scroll all the way down on your post to see I guess what I could have really done is gone to Facebook and gone to your older posts. But the posts that I see now from you are so genuine and authentic. I imagine you weren't organically an authentic out-of-the-box person because it's hard to get comfortable in your skin.
Yeah.
For me, it was
Yeah.
after the age of 38, 39 that I started to get more comfortable in my skin and get authentic.
So this is really an interesting topic because so when I was started my business, it was by accident, and I was being very vulnerable and authentic on social media because I had no agenda.
Yeah.
I was literally just sharing, this is me, I'm trying to fix myself, I'm eating this. I was being very real. And I built my business that way. Now, somewhere along the way, I learned I'm supposed to have a sales page and marketing and all this stuff, and I got sidetracked. And now it wasn't authentic anymore because it was me paying people to help me with my message. Now, it's no coincidence to me that that's when my business wouldn't do so well. So every time my business had that dip, I could relate it to it's not Natalie being real, it's me paying people to do marketing material or telling me what I should do. And every time it would go back up, it's because I was being real and sharing. So I learned sort of the hard way that what works is when I would actually just be real and share.
Yeah.
So I tell everyone that there is no trick behind sales copy or message. Like it's you just talking and being real.
Good for you. I love that message. And not enough people are authentic. And unfortunately, we believe that, well, society expects this from me. And so this is the message I'm going to spread. Or what you said, I'm going to hire a marketing expert who's going to tell me what words should come out of my mouth. And truly, the only words that should come out of your mouth are the words that start in your heart.
Yes.
Right?
Or like, I'm going to hire someone to help me with what story I'm supposed to tell. That doesn't make sense either because that's just, then you think you're being authentic, but it's super fake.
Well, you've got yourself an amazing book here. And this book, by the time you guys and gals are watching or listening to this episode, this book, Aging in Reverse, the easy 10-day plan to change your state, plan your plate, and love your weight. I love that, and I love that it rhymes. This book's already going to be out, folks. And let me tell you, having known Natalie and having known the type of content that you put up, like you're the real deal.
Thank you.
You're the real deal. You're
Thank
not
you.
she just showed up to the social media world and was trying to make a quick buck. And so, folks, go out and buy this book. Let me ask you one last question before we wrap up here, Natalie. If there was a young woman who was named Natalie Jill, and she's 20 years younger than you, she's 27, and she's sitting in this chair, what would you tell this young lady to equip her for the next 20 years to come?
Ooh, focus on your strengths. For sure. I think we get sidetracked focusing on what we're not strong at. Trust your gut. Your gut always knows. And when we don't listen to it is when we get into trouble. And stick to sharing what you know, like sharing what you know. And what I mean by that is if you share authentically what you've learned and overcome, there's other students out there. There's always students out there for that. But when you look at what am I going to do to make money, that takes you out of that. And that's usually what doesn't work. So sticking to what you actually know and are learning, it doesn't matter that if there's a million other people doing it or not. If it's true to you, that's what works.
I love that. Such a great message. Thank you so much for being on the show with us.
Thanks for having me.
You ready for a fun little workout?
Of course.
All right, let's do it.